We're here today at Extraordinary Futures Conference. I'm sitting down with Pradyum Sekar of CB2 Insights. Prad is the CEO. Thanks for your time, Prad.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Great. This is the first time we're getting to sit down, so why don't you start by giving our audience a little bit of a breakdown on CB2 Insights, what your focus is.
Okay, so we're publicly traded. We went public on the CSE in March. CB2 Insights is a research and technology company. Our thesis is this. If you want to commercialize medical cannabis in a mainstream healthcare industry, you have to start playing within the same sandbox as other pharmaceutical medications. So we believe that in order to bring medications to market, one of the biggest things that's lacking today in medical cannabis is the lack of safety and efficacy data. Really, what's typically derived in a new drug development process, clinical trials, etc. So we've established an infrastructure that's designed around helping licensed producers and drug developers essentially take an idea or a formulation and take it all the way from preclinical research straight through to commercialization. So when you're talking about introducing a new drug, you're thinking about formulations. So what type of indications, what kind of formulations. We've amassed well over 400,000 patients worth of clinical data that we've seen through our own clinical visits with our doctors, using this information to help licensed producers better nail down what type of molecule will best suit what kind of indication, and then support that through a new drug application process, and then essentially help them take that through kind of the traditional phase 1 to phase 4. Or in our case, in most markets in medical cannabis, you don't really need to go through that process to register a drug. You really just want to be able to do kind of the post-marketing surveillance and say, this drug has helped this number of patients within a very validated methodology or a protocol, and then be able to publish that kind of data.
So my question to you is, what sort of hurdles do you guys face when you're trying to bring something like this out to market?
So it's been 5 years since we founded the company, and it's been a little bit of a struggle early days because the medical cannabis market for a large part was based on flower. When we started in Canada, it was all about vaping or using flower to then make end products. And the problem with traditional drug development is it really should be a single-use medication. And so it's taken some time for some markets to mature. European markets have been great. South American markets, we're seeing it now in the US and Canada as well, where now licensed producers aren't focused on just getting flower to market, but what's going to differentiate them. And it's going to be a product that may be patentable in the future, but it serves a specific purpose, and they can generate data around that. You can educate regulators and doctors, and so we're going to start to see more openness towards research and clinical trials to be able to validate products in market, which I think will be a reduction of the obstacles we faced until now.
Got it. What about the footprint? Like, where are you guys focused on? I know obviously you mentioned Canada, US, but I would imagine you guys are focused on other jurisdictions as well. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So there's 3 primary divisions to the company. So we have clinical operations, which operates in the US right now predominantly. That's our most mature market. So we did about 11 million last year in revenue. We posted about 3.2 million in revenue in the last quarter. It's a 15% positive EBITDA margin business. And it's basically the business of medical clinics. And so we operate one of the largest networks of medical centers in the US. There's about 35 in 14 states. We see about 100,000 patients a year, and these are all specifically for medical cannabis evaluations. That goal is eventually to open up more markets across the world. We've now got offices in Canada, UK, and Colombia, but we're also starting to launch the other 2 divisions as well, which is technology and research. And so we're going to start to see really a kind of full turnkey shop here where we can help with the recruitment of patients and clinicians, leverage proprietary technology to actually be able to run these clinical trials, and then the services around being a full service contract research organization in the space.
Can we talk a bit about the team that you guys have put together, not strictly just for the technology, but as a whole to see the company move forward?
So each of the verticals has got pretty much, what we would qualify to be both entrepreneurs and experienced executives within them. So operation-wise, the 2 founders, Cash and myself, we've had years of experience in practice management and healthcare. We come from the Canadian healthcare industry. We've seen new products come to market over multiple years, and we've seen how it's been a pretty prescriptive process that's not very hard to follow. And then moving on to technology and research, we definitely have a very solid research and scientific board made up of PhDs and physicians, each with years of experience in treating patients with medical cannabis, but also very scientifically focused in their rigor and using evidence-based outcome to guide protocols. cannabis. And then, of course, we're guided by a board of directors that has the expertise of both capital markets, finance, accounting, legal, as well as sector experience from big pharma down to health technology.
Are you able to comment a bit on some of your recent milestones?
So this year's been pretty instrumental for us. I mean, going public in March was a pretty big deal for us. As a private company, over the last 4 years, we've since gone public. We've acquired 3 new assets in the U.S., so really growing our footprint within the U.S. market share by buying medical clinics that also do cannabis evaluations, scaling them in, increasing the patient population throughput, and using that anonymized aggregate data to sort of use that as tools to be able to leverage future insights and future AI and machine learning. One of the biggest milestones that we hit this summer was actually a partnership in the UK with Drug Science, where we are now providing technology as well as clinical trial services to one of the largest UK observational studies that's going to be happening in medical cannabis, but 20,000 patients over 3 years, over 4 to 5 indications. And so we're starting to see more opportunities open up as a result of these initiatives. Definitely our exposure now in Colombia, as well as now being in Canada as well, is starting to leverage these tools to be able to start to not only run trials, but support more product formulated models for medical cannabis.
And where would you like to see the space go in the next year, 2 years, 3 years?
So definitely towards more traditional medication. And we already know Big Pharma's in here. They've registered patents, they've got clinical trials going on single molecule cannabinoids. It's only a matter of time before Big Pharma steps into here in a real big way. I think there's an opportunity now for medical cannabis producers to take the experience and the knowledge that they've gained in doing this over the last 5 years and really get ahead of some of the big pharma names that we know, or more importantly, collaborate or even commercialize into. So what excites us a lot is to see now more rigor, more structure really coming into an industry and saying, if we don't keep up and if we don't play in the same sandbox, companies are going to get overrun by multi-billion-dollar organizations that are already starting to explore this sector today.
Of course. I think we've covered a lot of stuff on what you guys are doing, some of your milestones, what excites you. As a company listed on the CSE, how do you find your experience?
I mean, we've had nothing but support from the CSE. I mean, from opportunities for exposure, opportunities to meet strategic partners. It's a very, the communication has been great back and forth. We definitely look forward to, more in the future.
But again, I look forward to the next time we can sit down and get an update on the company and watch you guys grow. Again, I do truly appreciate your time. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me.